detective, thrill me.
The Thrill Me podcast has had a facelift this week. We've changed up the
logo.
We had an Instagram page made up, so if anyone's interested in checking that out, I'll give you the details later. But gentlemen, how are we?
Yeah.
Good to be back.
Glad the pod had a facelift now.
Yeah,
I just need one.
Yeah. I think there's four of us could do with more than just a facelift, I would suggest.
After that movie, yeah.
Okay.
It's a good movie for a facelift, though. Ask Amy Smart.
Tonight's movie is Mirrors from 2008, starring Kiefer Sutherland. But before we get into that, let's do around the table. Jared, what have you been watching, mate?
Okay, so I watched Solo. I think I actually mentioned that last pod, but I got along to see Solo. I was pretty happy with it, considering what it could have turned into. It seemed like it was heading for an absolute disaster, and it has been a little bit at the box office, but as a movie, yeah, it was fun. It was entertaining. It's not one of the better Star Wars ones, but it was good enough.
They're calling it a flop, though, eh?
Yeah,
it
cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
I got onto the confession tapes, which you blokes have watched a little bit of. I watched the first one with the Mr. Big thing in Canada. Yeah, it was quite good. Interesting to see how it all played out. The Mr. Big stuff, I was familiar with how that all worked, so going into all the detail of that was a little bit, like filling in the details of what it actually is was a little bit of a drag, but when they actually got to the tapes of the guys and that sort of thing, it was pretty good. Looking forward to seeing a couple of the other cases.
Yeah, there's a couple of good ones on there.
Finished up season 2 of Westworld, and a little bit disappointed. Like, it just sort of, the end of it just seems like they're trying to twist on top of a twist on top of a twist. Like, just, I don't even think, I think, what's his name, the Nolan brother that works on it, I think he even actually mentioned one of the twists they just threw in at the last minute.
Jonathan, is it?
Yeah, Jonathan Nolan mentioned they threw in one of the twists at the last minute, and I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, it's just, I don't know, it was a bit of a slog, a few of the episodes, whereas last season I was always sort of invested in where it was going to end up. I was really keen to find out where it was going to go, whereas this one, there was just a little bit too much of, yeah, let's get there.
And the twist in season 1 was good, like good quality.
Yeah, and they try to recreate some of that a little bit in this season. I wouldn't outright say nah, it's gone. I wouldn't give it the 13 reasons why sort of thumbs down that you gave that one. I'm still going to be checking out season 3, but yeah, it's not quite as stellar as it was the first time around. Yeah. 6 episodes into Luke Cage season 2, really enjoying it. I think it's better than the first one. I really liked Cottonmouth in the first one, but obviously things sort of changed towards the back end of the season. But this one just seems to be a little bit stronger, a little bit more of an identity to it. Like, it seems to have more idea of where it's going.
I like the villain more.
Yeah, Bushmaster's he's really interesting.
I've got Serpent Society thing going on. Is Luke Cage or Serpent Society guys, like the Cottonmouth and? Oh well,
yeah. Well, first season 1 was Cottonmouth, and this one's Bushmaster.
Get on that.
Mariah Dillard, and yeah, it's I'm really enjoying this season.
That's
awesome. I think punched through as much of it as I could in the time that I had. But if I'd had a more open schedule at the present moment, I would have binge watched the whole lot because I'm really enjoying that one.
I've only got one to go.
Yeah. Still good.
Yes.
Excellent. I watched an Aussie one called "There's Something in the Pilliga," which was a found footage one about yowies.
Right.
Shithouse.
I thought you were going somewhere with that. I'm like,
Jared, when you started with it's about yowies and it's found footage, I expected the next words to be shithouse.
Oh, but you know what? I held out some hope because I thought an Aussie take on that sort of stuff, and in a region where people do claim to see that shit, is kind of
could have worked. Yeah.
So hang on, is a yowie a Bigfoot? Is that the same thing?
Yeah,
kind of. Yeah.
I always got it mixed up with a bunyip. The bunyip's in the water, right? That's in like the Billabong ship.
Yeah, probably.
It's call it a Bigfoot.
Yeah, it's the problem is the found footage, but I don't really see which other way they could have gone because it sort of lends itself to that sort of thing. Obviously, there's a lot of found footage, Bigfoot ones in the US because that makes sense. People with GoPros out in the scrub and all that sort of stuff. Problem is with this one, there's nothing to keep you dragged along. There's very limited sightings of it in the back. Then when it gets into the dark and they get lost in the scrub and whatever, it's a couple of red lights as eyes and things like that. Like, it just, there's nothing there, which is a bit disappointing. I was hoping it would be a little bit better. And it's also another prime example of why you still got the camera running.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, that was a bit of a disappointment. That was on Amazon. Thanks, Amazon. That was the first thing I watched.
Was that on Amazon Prime?
What a purchase!
So I can check it out.
Yeah, you can check it out. I nearly cancelled my membership once I watched it.
So basically, steer clear of the pilliga. Yes.
Yeah. That was the second scariest Australian film I watched during the week. I watched a doco called Hotel Coolgardie, which I'd heard about, and it's about two backpackers from Finland who work in a pub in a mining town for a couple of months. Fuck, mate, some of the treatment they are given, some of the things that the blokes say over the bar, just despicable. Makes you fucking ashamed to be an Australian, to be honest.
What, racist stuff or what?
No, just out and out trying to, you know, crack onto these birds, propositioning them all night. The bloke that runs the hotel is on the phone saying, listen, we don't want birds that are 44 stone. We'd like them to have experience, but if they're good looking, we can probably overlook that. And then when they come in, it's the big sign on the door, new girls tonight.
Oh.
And so blokes are coming in. Honestly, the first night, one of the guys leans over the bar and says, look, I've got a small penis, so if you want to get it on, it will be painless and it won't last long. So that's the thumbs up.
Wow.
That's the first thing he says to him. It's just like,
Right.
look, it's a bit.
You should have responded with, well, look, I was thinking about it, but now you've told me you've got a small penis.
Sorry, what's in it for me?
It's a bit sad because there's obviously a lot of loneliness and depression and things going on. But I mean, one of the blokes.
I wonder why they're lonely though. Like,
it's not that.
Is the cart and the horse or what?
Yeah.
Maybe if you weren't a despicable fucking germ, you'd have a partner.
Well, one of the blokes wakes up. One night they come out. She hears snoring, and one of the blokes who's a loose cannon, but is obviously quite lonely, and I think there's some definite mental issues from the small snippets we got in film. He's fucking asleep on their couch. He just invited himself up, and so she tries to tell him to go away, and he starts dropping that he's drunk and kind of. Oh, I care for you more than you know, and all this sort of stuff, and it's fucking disgusting. The boss is an absolute arsehole. The boss is yelling at him, don't you fucking know the difference when they go emu bitter or emu draft? I'm sitting there going, mate, I drink Australian beers quite a lot. I've got no fucking idea about emu bitter. I'd fuck that up too. Like, what do you expect? They're from Finland, and you expect them to know on the register the difference between emu bitter and emu draft straight away, like. And he's just an a-hole. And then the town turns on them, like some of the residents and the boss, like he's going, they just don't want to get involved and get to know people. No. That's because every fucking person they talk to is propositioning them. It's just disgusting.
So is that a doco? Or?
It's a doco. It's on Amazon Prime as well. I'd actually heard about it, but I couldn't really find it. Wasn't showing up. I thought it was going to be on Netflix. Lo and behold,
that's as close to The Hills Have Eyes as we're going to get in reality.
It's pretty damn close.
That's rough.
That is rough.
It's a really good watch.
Really good for tourism.
You couldn't find it.
Fantastic with
Coming back to Australia.
I guarantee.
This bravely fucking germ on Earth.
I guarantee Cinema Australia is not fucking selling this at Cannes.
No. I mean, the good thing is you couldn't find it anywhere, but then Amazon Prime dove into the deep, dark barrel.
We haven't been to Mooseheads in a while, to be fair.
To be fair. Yeah,
good reason.
Bottom line is it doesn't make us look good. I'm sure of that.
No, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I'd recommend it.
It's a good documentary with a bad subject matter.
Yeah. So I started Glow. Fuck, I love that show.
I reckon it's better than season 1.
Season 2, gold. The first bits that I've seen are fucking fantastic. So it looks like it's going from strength to strength.
I think I've been 3. I think of 3 episodes in.
Yeah.
Boring.
Love it. I watched a couple from last year that I'd seen and really liked. It came out on home video and Blu-ray and that. So it was Coco and Ready Player One. So I was a big fan of both of those. Really enjoyed them. And I saw Ant-Man and Wasp.
Now, how was that? I'm hearing a lot of good
really
things.
Enjoyed it. It was cool. If you like the first Ant-Man, you'll definitely like this one.
It's more of the same,
similar sort of gags, and Walt Goggins is in there, who's one of my favourite actors. It ends up being quite amusing. Randall Park, he's amped up a bit as the FBI agent, and he makes a really... he's quite amusing in his little side bits. But it's good after Infinity War to just focus on these guys and not worry about the whole universe.
You didn't watch the first 20 movies.
Well,
Did you stick around for the mid-credit scene and stuff?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. That's the only tie-in.
Yeah.
That
The
was
very
good.
last-
You didn't have to
the
worry
end.
about all the other shit that was going on.
End credit scene was the very, very last
The
one
end.
after the end. That wasn't worth hanging
I
around.
wasn't sticking around for it because I read first. I'm like, yeah, the last one I'm not hanging around for, not the full credits.
But yeah, I was a big fan of it. And Angeline, sorry, what's her name?
Evangeline
Lilly. She's an ass kicker. It's really cool because they make her obviously the more accomplished one. You saw that in the first one, but now that she gets involved, you know, they work pretty well as a team. But she's obviously the ass kicker and the more sort of competent with all the equipment and shit.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool dynamic. I liked it a lot. And that's me.
That's it. All right, Matty.
I got into Glow as well. Welfare Queen is the best.
She was an actual wrestler. She used to wrestle in TNA or whatever.
Oh, really?
Awesome Kong. What's her name?
I was,
So she's got experience with the whole stereotype thing.
I was watching that with Erin, and she's like, she's actually quite built. Like she's
Well, she's a
massive
unit.
waist.
I'll give her that.
Yeah, she looks like a block. Like she's. But that's I'm enjoying that one. Gone to 9-9 again because I was like, nah. Keep
Can't
talking
get wrong,
about
man.
it a lot.
I went back and
love
watched
it.
the whole lot again.
Yeah.
So good.
I've been saying, oh, that's going to leave a stain a bit too much, but it's
That's going to leave a mark. That's not how you use it. that same 3 episodes, though, even on the rewatch, I watched the Palms.
Ah, yeah.
Mate, they're still bad.
Yeah.
Oh, only 3 that have let me down on. That's a good strike rate, though. You'll cop that.
Yeah.
Handmaiden's still going on that one as it's coming out. I didn't realise how many people are actually watching that. Like, I brought it up in the staff room and everyone was like, yeah, I'm watching that. But it's just brutal, hey? It's such a weird imagined world.
I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
One of the few.
Man. They just have all like public executions and stuff like that. You're just like, man, this is a ominous view of how things could turn out. I started watching Unsolved, so the Notorious
Biggie and
Tupac.
Tupac?
Yeah.
Is that any good?
Well, I started watching it, was sort of enjoying it, and then forgot about it, so I'm back into it. So obviously not good enough to.
It's a real hook.
Keep you,
Not enough
keep
to drag you in.
but I'll probably get back into it. I did love that back in '96. That's
Yeah.
the bomb.
I just thought it might be interesting. From first when I saw it, I thought it might be a doco series.
Yeah.
I thought that actually would be really good. But
It's sort of got multiple narratives going on because it's such it's an unsolved case, and then build your team. You're going to go back and try and solve this problem again, and so it's sort of trying to be 2 things at once. But it's fine. It's not too bad. I watched The Stairs, the
staircase.
The Staircase. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he did it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it did too.
Yeah.
Well, his story was bullshit. I believe something to do with an owl. Is that
It was
correct?
like
No, that
she
wasn't
fell
his story.
over.
That was a
She fell
neighbour.
over and then got up and then fell over again.
Yeah.
And, it's
It
doesn't
was
seem like it
his
makes sense.
story has seemingly no credibility.
But still, the conviction seems a bit like the judge actually saying he didn't deserve to go to jail
Yeah.
for as long as he didn't.
His
deserve it.
legal team were phenomenal.
Yeah. It seems like though that pretty much everyone knew he did it, but they just didn't have the evidence to convict.
That seemed like what the DA was going with. They were
Yeah.
just trying to put this case together, but they didn't have the evidence that was the way it was done.
Yeah.
So it was like,
I was questioning it for ages, and then they just talked about him having blood on his shoe, and I'm like, yeah, he did it.
yeah. Even his lawyer said a conviction isn't. You know, I can't remember what he said,
Reasonable
but he basically said, there is reasonable doubt because they cannot produce anything that says this is how he did it.
Yeah.
Even though they're saying he did it. So,
Yeah.
you know, he was right in a way saying that shouldn't have been convicted, but the whole time I was like, he did it.
He ended up getting the same sentence though. He was in jail for 24 years or whatever it was.
Well, I think he was only there for 8 in the end.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Oh well. He deserves longer.
Yeah.
Matty's calling it.
yeah, I think he is. Yes, he does.
Judge Calacarinos over here.
But the way they went about it
Yeah.
is what.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a bit sickening, right?
They needed to tighten that case up, and they would have got him, but they botched it basically.
Yeah.
And fudged it.
Yeah, they fucked it
fudged
up.
evidence.
And
so-
you shouldn't be allowed to do that. Whether he did it or not, you shouldn't be allowed to do it.
Yeah. I just started thinking about a lot of that whole the eyewitness testimony and all that sort of stuff, and just how people just make mistakes. Like, surely having judges judge this stuff makes a lot more sense than having a jury who's easily influenced, who can be swayed by certain bits of evidence.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like a fair system.
It should
And
be
then, quite frankly, probably
panel of
fucking fell
judges, like
asleep
3
for a couple of
judges.
hours or
Yeah.
something.
You better
like,
listen to
like a panel.
the closing
Yeah,
statement.
I could just see me going.
Yeah.
So like we're going to go guilty, and then they'll talk about key pieces of evidence, and I'll go. I don't remember
The
that.
lawyer's closing statement took 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I am nodding off.
There's
during
90
that
minutes of
statement.
that where even if I'm awake, I'm not engaged.
I'm not taking
I'm
it
not
in.
listening.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
taking
right.
it in.
It just depends. If George Clooney's delivering it, I'm going to pay a bit more attention than certain people. Yeah. What else did I watch? I watched. I started Freddy 6 as well.
Why?
I've committed now.
committed, yeah.
Oh man.
I can't remember anything that happened here.
Oh.
I don't think I
Thank
did.
God.
Lucky you, yeah.
Bloody hell.
I watched it 2 weeks ago.
I
Mine is just
I do remember.
not absorbing
That's
anything.
the problem.
So yeah, not super into it, but I've
There might be a defense mechanism
Gotta
there.
see
The
it
brain
through.
just shut down.
Far out. I wish my brain had shut down.
but that's me. That's my week. Yeah.
All right, I've got a bit on here, but a little bit of an overlap, so it shouldn't be too bad. Maddie will like the first one. Bit of a controversial one, but I watched King Arthur, Legend of the Sword.
Oh.
I actually liked it.
Oh,
You did ya?
I did.
Nah, you didn't.
It's like I went in with super low expectations because it got fucking just pilloried everywhere. It's very different, but I really like the whole snatch, that sort of thing.
Get out.
Nah, I don't mind it. It's different. It's not trying to be Gladiator or anything like that. It's its own thing, and for what it is, I liked it. So, good job, Matty.
I didn't. That was Watto. Was it?
Oh, was it what? I thought it was you that liked it. Ah, damn it.
I probably would like it. I mean,
Look, even though you've recommended it, I won't be there.
No,
Oh, so you haven't seen it?
No.
Because is it on Netflix? Is that
Mate,
right?
Yes. Oh, no, it's on Stan.
I saw
I'll
the
watch it.
trailer,
I'll have a look.
and within a minute of the trailer starting, I just said no.
You've just got to
No
go in
chance,
for
none.
what it is.
Not at all.
Like it's ridiculous. It's got fucking fantasy. It's got magic. Like it's just.
I cannot do it. I'm telling you, I can't.
fine. It's
You
not
will.
you. Then
You
don't.
will,
But,
eventually.
yeah,
I've
so-
had 2 people say it's alright.
Yeah, I will eventually, no doubt.
Get that one out of the way. I went and watched Incredibles 2 with the kids and
Oh,
Riley.
yeah.
Loved
I
it.
actually saw that as well, yeah.
Yeah, pretty good. Not as good as the first one, just because it's not as original as it was. There's a lot of the same beats. Basically, they just invert the roles of Bob and
Yeah, Bob and...
Elastigirl.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's got some cool stuff in it. It's really well done. The animation, it's really good looking movie. Like, it's really pretty to look at. So that was alright.
How much did your kids love Jack Jack?
Yeah, Dylan just lost his shit when Jack's fighting the raccoon.
Yeah.
Just goes, he was just cracking up
Yeah.
laughing. Thought it was hilarious when he's trapped in the folding deck chair and he's on fire and coming at him. Dylan lost it, man, completely.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. I watched Jackass 3 for some reason. I was bored. I sort of just had it on the
Is
background.
that
I
the
got
one with
sucked
the
into it.
hand?
Huh?
They put that big
Yeah,
hand
and they
out.
slap people
Read
walking in the
hand.
No, it's like people walking in the office and they get you to carry a
laughed every
tray of
single
soup.
time.
And he's carrying a tray of soup, and this huge big hand comes and smacks him and just levels him. The best one's Bam Margera though, because it hits him and he just goes like that. It doesn't like fall.
No,
he
the
just
best
slaps
one's where
on
they
the
put
ground.
that sign up in the hotel and they get up close to it and they're reading it's getting
Oh, it's
smaller.
not that one.
Smaller. Oh, it's
No,
not that one. That's
one.
2.
I think that was 2.
And
Yeah.
then the fist just comes through.
This is the one that you're supposed to watch in 3D. I've seen that one. It's like an extendable fist, like hand thing. Yeah, not that one.
Jackass is the purest form of comedy.
Yeah.
There's
I
some
remember
really rough
thinking-
stuff in it. Like I was going to get Dill to watch it with me, and then I watched it, and I'm like, whoa, no. There's some stuff where they like just.
That's not
Really-
pubes. Is that pubes on the face?
No, that's a different one where they shave his pubes and you can see the crabs in it, and they use it as a fake beard. Not that one.
I remember
There's some rough
going
stuff
to
in
the
it though.
cinema to see the first one and thinking, what the fuck am I doing here? And then laughing
can't not laugh.
absolutely just about till I
There's
wet
one in this
myself.
one where Jacko gets put in like a portaloo, and then they put it on one of those things where they catapult you up into the sky, but it's full of dog shit. Like
Oh, come on.
dodgy, and you watch him, and he's like he's spewing with the camera in there, and it's going in his mouth and everything, and I'm like, why? Come up with a different prank, something else. Anyway, so I watched that for some reason. Been watching Luke Cage.
Immediately.
I'm with Jared. I've only got one episode to go. I really like the villain in it. There's a problem with the amount of times they do a slow motion of Luke Cage walking for 15 or 20 second blocks, just walking. I'm over it. Fucking don't pad your shit out with that. Between that and the really, really unnecessarily long scenes of bands that they have playing at Harlem's Paradise.
Yeah.
They'll be watching this bloke just play music for like what feels like 2 or 3 minutes at a time, and it's nothing to do with the story. It's just
didn't
background
mind
music.
that. A bit of Gary Clark.
But maybe it's set-
Yeah, but it's all the time.
Is it
Coffee.
set in the The scene, giving you
the music will
atmosphere
be music will be behind the scenes while stuff's happening, but then I'll go back and there'll just be this fat guy just singing for like 3 or 4 minutes of just padding the show out.
They cut in between, yeah. Sometimes it's just, they'll do like a minute of the song and then
if it's relevant, it's fine, but it's just a lot of times it's just padding.
It's something, I don't know, it's part of the show. It's setting it like that. That's what Harlem's Paradise is, and it's.
Yeah, I get that, but where I'm up to now, there's like rappers and shit doing stuff. It's not the old bluesy
like the culture.
jazz stuff.
It's saying that this is the the diverse show, and these are the artists.
Yeah, but so show them playing the song, and then have the song over what's happening, or have the song over what's happening, and then show the person. Don't have us actually have to watch a bloke just play a guitar for 5 minutes while there's actual action supposed to be happening.
True. I think part of that is like, look, we got so and so to do this show, so you're going to watch them for 3 minutes.
I'm sure there's something to that, because they're pretty talented. Like the music's good. I like what they're doing with the music. It's just it feels like a bit of a slog at times.
But it was funny because there's that one where Foggy walks in and he's like, is that Ghostface Killer?
Yeah.
And it's like that's what you're doing when you're watching the show. I was like, is that Gary Clark Jr.? Yeah, it is,
Yeah, no, that's all right. I watched Red Sparrow on PSN.
How was that?
Rubbish.
You hated it, didn't you?
Has Russia not got a single like attractive young female actress that they could have put in that role instead of Jennifer Lawrence?
Yeah. But that
the whole
actress
movie
doesn't pull anyone into the cinema.
That's right.
The only reason that shit's in the
whole
cinema
movie
is because of
she's
her.
doing a Russian accent. Guess who's not Russian? Jennifer Lawrence. I love her. She's a really good actress, and she does a good job. But why? Find a Russian.
But as I said, and based on what Jared has just pointed out, the movie sucks, mate.
It's not very good.
The only way to get some money out of it was to have a star in it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if Jennifer Lawrence passes, that shit doesn't even get made.
Yeah, no, it's got a lot of holes in it. The whole, like, we've turned you into this elite fucking... Not really, they're not really assassins as much as just the whole Red Sparrow thing. They're basically just collectors of information. But she's in this training thing for like 3 months, basically fails every part of it, nearly gets kicked out, and then they put her onto this big mark, and she supposedly is the best in the business.
Yeah, but she had something. That's obviously what they were looking for.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Heads up. But you've got something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but everyone said that, even though she's failing the whole program. It's just, it's a bit of a reach.
No one
and it was
did that
long
to me
too.
at tests at school.
It was over
you
2
failed
hours.
it dismally.
That's too much.
Mate, The Simpsons nailed it. I love your heart. That's why I had so much trouble cutting you.
Anyway, I wasn't a big fan. I was keen on it because I thought it might be something like a better version of like Salt or something like that, because that was also poo. This is more of the same.
I did not see Salt.
I've watched most of the new season of Archer. I love Archer. It's the same jokes are starting to get a bit tired now, but it's still Archer. Watched Ant-Man and the Wasp. Liked it. Then I went and watched by myself because I was bored one night. Went and watched Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom at the cinema.
I hear that's not good.
Fuck, it's poor.
Yeah.
None. You want to talk about stories that don't make sense? That one. It is just nonsense the whole way through.
The first Jurassic World was teetering on that, but it was enjoyable. Like, I remember we both walked out and were like, that was pretty stupid, but that was fun.
I walked out and felt like nothing had happened. Like, at the end of it, they're setting up, there's another movie, 100% there's going to be another movie, and you're just like, okay, but this isn't actually that much of a problem. They can just go and, anyway.
God, you know what? That entire franchise is full of duds.
They should have stopped at one.
The first movie is
the
great.
first one is one of the greatest movies ever, and then
the
after that's
sequel,
just shit.
and then the third is just rancid.
I see two's okay.
Two's
was
okay,
passable. The third one was rubbish. Jurassic World, the first one again, bit of fun, passable. If this one's a bit of a dud too.
Actual author wrote the stories for the first two.
Yeah.
Michael Crichton nailed it, and then you can see why it goes downhill.
Well, there's a big supposed like shock story arc thing in this one that's supposed to be this big surprise, and you can see it coming with fucking neon lights from about the 10-minute mark. It's super obvious.
Is it a mega dinosaur?
No, well they have that. They've got another fucking. We made this super duper duper dinosaur. They've got that. And you're like, fuck, mate.
Is it BD Wong again? I hope it's BD Wong.
No, but fuck, man. It's just when you. I'm sure you'll catch it at some point. You'll know the story as soon as you see it. You'll be like, oh, that's obvious.
I was planning on catching it in the coming days, so maybe they'll have to be.
It's not cinema worthy. Mate, it just doesn't have on the screen. It's just not impressive. Nothing looks good anymore.
Maybe it's Batman comes in.
I'd rather go back and watch Jurassic
epic
Park
twist.
1 at the cinema and watch that, because it just there's no sense of wonder or anything. There's like one of the first scenes you see the T-Rex. Yeah. And just like, oh, that's the T-Rex then, I guess.
Subtlety's out the window now because...
Yeah, they've just got to go bigger and bigger all the time.
When the first movie came out, we'd never even seen them, and they were so lifelike. It was like, Jesus.
Yeah.
How they manage this?
They'll never ever get this the same feeling of when they see the Brontosaurus or whatever it is, or
Yeah.
Brachiosaurus. When they first see that and it like goes up on a timeline, like you'll never get that again.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it was a bit of a dud. And then Glow as well. I've been watching that.
Loving it.
Loving Glow. It's so good. I reckon it's better than the first season so far. I think I'm 3 or 4 episodes in. It's tops.
All right.
That's it.
That's everything. Mine was very quick. I watched 2 episodes of The Toys That Made Us, the Transformers and G.I. Joe. Transformers was rather amusing.
Yeah,
So good.
It was a really good episode.
Yeah, it was a really good episode. It was really interesting, and there was a little bit of... The Transformers one was interesting from the perspective of the toys and all that sort of stuff, but G.I. Joe was actually slightly interesting because who created G.I. Joe? There's a bit of conjecture and contention about who actually is the responsible party. So that was kind of cool. You know, there was a bit of that background stuff going on.
Yeah, didn't the dad sell the bloke that created it
For
sold it
100K.
for 100K up front when he could have taken
Yeah.
50K and 2% in perpetuity?
And 2% in perpetuity would have been worth millions.
Yeah.
I watched Catch Me If You Can. Love that movie.
Yeah, super
bloody
good.
Real good. I got onto that show that Ben mentioned, Hollywood Weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was a bit like, it's basically Mythbusters, but for Hollywood, specific Hollywood stunts and how they might have done it.
awesome.
And whether it was legitimate. It's a little bit rough around the edges in terms of the host, and if they feel really stilted when they do things. They're not comfortable in that environment. But some of the stuff they did Jaws, so he was trying to work out whether you could hit the tank coming at you with one of those rifles, and then they would see if it would blow up.
Mythbusters did that already.
Yeah, and then they had one for Die Hard. They had one for Predator. The Predator one, he actually wore the minigun backpack, but basically you cannot fire that thing with full rounds of ammunition in it. It would just knock you over. It immediately.
Well, yeah,
would go into your
it's
back.
consistent recoil the whole time.
Because the weight of the bullets and everything and the caliber, you would have to be a certain weight plus. You need to be able to stand forward and take it. And so they did it with blanks, and then he actually did it on a tripod, which was cool. And
What did they do for Die Hard? The hose jump off the building?
and
Yes.
see if they could put enough bullets through the window and
To
then
make it
go
shatter.
through it. Yeah. So it was interesting stuff. And that was pretty much it.
It was lame.
Yeah, I didn't
Quiet
watch
week.
it all. All right, let's take a break. And here's the trailer for 2008's Mirrors.
Okay, you two. You need to finish your homework. You need to get ready for your bath. I'm leaving in a couple minutes. Happy birthday.
Thanks, Dad.
Well, here you go. It's where you'll be spending most of your time. The company wants us to patrol the premises every couple of hours.
The mirrors, they're so clean.
Fella who was working here before you, he was completely obsessed with these mirrors.
Anybody here? What the hell? I need you to run a name for me. He was a night watchman and I replaced him. I just need to know how he died.
What are you talking about?
I'm seeing things. Bad things.
I'm not acting scared, but he is.
What are you doing?
Nothing.
I'm not the one looking into the mirrors, but they're looking back at me.
There's no one looking back at you through the mirrors. Oh my god.
They can get at you anywhere.
Michael? There's something in the house. You have to be very brave.
Get out of here now! My family's not dying tonight. What do you want?
Mirrors from 2008, directed by Alex Arger, who directed The Hills Have Eyes, another episode that we did recently. Produced by Gregory Lavassiere, Alexandra Milchan, Mark Steinberg, and Vlad. I'm not even going to try.
What is it? Show me. Vlad Ponescu.
Excellent, good.
That'll work.
It's written by Gregory Lavassiere, Alex Arger, and it came from a Korean film called Into the Mirror. It stars Kiefer Sutherland as Ben Carson, Paula Patton as Amy Carson, and Amy Smart as Angela Carson. The budget was $35 million, and the box office was 77 worldwide.
Mirrors are expensive, so that explains.
The film was actually shot in Romania.
Well, really?
Yes.
Yeah, right. That's a random one.
All right, Matt, you're up, my friend.
Alright, so, yeah, definitely there's some holes in this.
Really?
He's hedging. He's hedging.
As if I would.
Sit on the fence.
But I enjoyed it. I knew what it was trying to do, and I went with it. There was some cool visual stuff in there. There were some moments where they were probably trying to be serious, but I got a laugh out of them. And I was happy to watch this. I enjoyed it, so I'll give it a 3.5.
3.5.
Good
That was maybe it was just because I went in with really low expectations.
Woo!
It sure was.
But we can tell you enjoyed it this week because your paper's intact. There's no pen holes.
It's not scrunched up with like turd on it.
I didn't swear at the television that much while I was watching this one.
3.5 from you.
3.5.
Yeah, I'm going to say it.
Allow me to retort.
You really planted the flag on the island there, mate. You just
Matty Island is a lonely place.
It's next to Dion Waiters Island.
I agree that this visually is quite good. I think visually some of the stuff in the burned out store and everything, the mannequins and all that type of stuff, and some of the jump scares that occur and seeing things in the mirror work really well. But it's just nonsense, mate. And as soon as it goes away from the burned out store, it just gets more and more difficult to enjoy for me.
The family stuff is difficult, yeah.
And I don't mind Kiefer Sutherland as an actor, but quite frankly, the guy had bipolar. I mean, every 5 seconds, 1 minute he was apologetic, the next minute he was blowing off the handle and abusing people.
Smashing shit.
So
shooting mirrors.
I found him really hard to get behind. Plus, how you always talk about daily exposition?
Yeah.
This movie is chock full of daily. It's got a page out of daily exposition in the first 5 minutes. For me, it's 2 out of 5. I'm probably being generous, mind you, I'd suggest. Gibbo?
I went with 2 out of 5 as well, mate.
Hey, you're on par.
For similar reasons, the stuff that they do with seeing things that are in reflection, but they're not there in your world, but they can affect you and stuff, that idea is good. But the plot is just fucking gibberish. It's really bad. And like you said, Kiefer Sutherland's character, you never ever go to bat for him.
Yeah.
You never like the bloke. You want his wife to just ignore him and never answer his phone calls again. I thought the little kid did a pretty good job.
Yeah, he was reasonable.
He's actually in some Disney movies. My kids watch all the time, the Descendants movies.
Oh, yeah?
He's actually a really talented dancer and stuff like that. Not an actor's bumhole, but he's pretty good in this for a little kid.
I'm so glad he got a chance to.
His name's Boo Boo
use that
Stewart
in
or
this
something
one?
like that, or I don't know. Anyway, but he's actually a pretty big deal on the Disney side of things, I think.
Right.
As soon as I saw him, because he's one of those people that's got the big eyes,
Yeah.
and like for this, he works perfectly. I think Paula Patton does an all right job with what she's got, but there's not much there. Amy Smart, I don't know why you
She's
bother.
barely
getting
even in it.
Yeah, and her death scene I liked.
That was cool, but randomly out of nowhere.
I don't understand the motivation of whatever it is that's trapped. Going around, if you want something done for you, don't go and fucking kill everybody that's around the person you're trying to get to do stuff for you. But the main thing I liked about the movie was the setting of the burnt out building and the mannequins and stuff. That stuff is perfect. It's a really good setting for it, but everything else, it was just, I was bored and not really interested. So yeah, 2.
Jared.
Yeah,
Just to nail the coffin.
Yeah, I went at 2 as well. I was really close to a 1.5, but I've gone for a 2. Yeah, the biggest strength is the actual mirrors and the way that they craft some jump scares out of it, and the way that they use it a couple of times that he can't see what he needs to see, so he starts shifting the mirrors around. It's a good way to sort of draw some tension out of those scenes. But yeah, it was just everything else was just a shambles, really. Kiefer yelling at everyone. My biggest problem, the biggest whole thing was the rules around what this thing does.
Yeah.
You've got to establish something.
Yeah, and there's
There were
nothing.
There was nothing there, and it was just sort of. It just felt like it would do whatever, whenever, and you just kind of like, okay, so when are we going to get some explanation as to what's actually happening?
You don't.
We've gone reverse. We've gone reverse for It Follows into this.
Yeah.
We did say that was a downer for It Follows, but the rest of It Follows kind of made up for it, and this just doesn't have any of the other stuff around it to
substance
make
there.
up for it. The subtext that I thought was going to be there just didn't end up being used.
When you said Adam that it was based on something that was Korean, I'm just like, it's cultural. Obviously, there's that whole thing of mirrors of reflection
taking
and your
pieces of soul
soul.
And
all that
from
sort of
what
stuff.
I read,
it didn't translate very well in the movie. but when you
from
said
what
that,
I read
was
is they basically took the idea of the mirrors, and that was it.
Sounds pretty.
So
So
they
it's
take
an American thing, right?
So they really.
So they take a
We'll
flawed
bastardise that, no worries.
Appropriation.
They take a flawed man with a lot of issues with his family that he can't really see, that everyone else has made abundantly clear to him are issues, and they didn't think to use that self-reflection angle and seeing his soul. Like, it just didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't use it.
Yeah.
They
I think
used-
they tried to. Like I said earlier, I think they tried to bring it back to that at the end. The fact that he can't get away from this house that's meant to be reflecting who he is, and that he gets trapped in there seemingly forever alone. It's just, I think they did try to do it, but they didn't just try and spell it out.
Yeah, but I mean,
maybe it was a weak
even
way
if
to
they
do
didn't
it.
spell it out, they kind of went to it to start, and then they went him alone.
Yeah,
a lot of the time, and it was just disconnected.
But
to his family.
isn't that what abusers and users do?
But you can't really do that the way they did it in the movie, because then it made the movie really tough to. As you said, you couldn't get on his side.
The whole time I'm watching that going, man, surely he's an ex-cop, he's got to have a better plan than this. He's got to have a better plan, but it's that
And
whole
you've
thing
got to be on board with him and want to be watching him. And unfortunately, the other stuff about the incomprehensible plot about what was going on just drew anything away from, if that's what they were going for, it just drew your attention completely away from that. And all you were looking at was, why the fuck did that happen? Or what are they doing with this? Like, you weren't... So yeah, I ended up at a 2.
So I was watching it going, he's a cop, like he's going to bring something different than the security guards did. But
the only thing, like the fact that he's got assets in the police force, he could probably have access to other.
He can get information that nobody else can get.
Yeah,
and
which is what he did. That's the
eventually.
only thing he did.
Yeah,
only by like forcing his doctor ex-wife to give him stuff he definitely didn't have access to. Like, there's no way that bloke's in the morgue.
He gets on the phone, getting that bloke to search the names and stuff, which is what leads him to where he is eventually, which the other guys can't get to.
Yeah.
But, I mean, even the start, when you think about it, the stuff that the bloke was saying into the mirror at the start doesn't really make a lot of sense either. Like,
no.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It looked pretty cool though.
Look,
should we get to some
we're
likes?
getting off on the front foot. That is the strength of it. Is the
opening
whole
scene, and that's it.
The opening scene's really good, where all the lockers open up and all the mirrors are in there, and you can see him rejected, and then he cuts his own throat, and it does like a 360 through the mirror, and shows you almost both sides of it, from both sides of the mirror. There's a cool bit where he leans down and his reflection just stands there and starts smiling.
Yeah.
That stuff's great.
Yeah.
The location, then once you find out it's in this charred, burned out mall, for the first 20 minutes when he's walking through the mall, just a flashlight, great. The charred mannequins.
Yeah, because you always see things and you think, oh, that's
dark.
something, and it's not.
It's really, really good. And my mind was saying, this is where we have to stay. Like this, it should have been one set in one night in one location.
Yeah, him trying to get through the night.
Yeah, but see, then the whole movie...
But then you wouldn't have anything
movie
more.
is visuals, and we would have been saying, what the fuck was that about?
Exactly.
It was just jump scares.
So,
it was just
bottom line is you couldn't go down that route, but we needed more of it. We needed to come back to it a bit more.
Or the other stuff had to be stronger.
Yeah,
to come back to this stuff for him to seek out more
The tone
information.
definitely shifts.
Yeah, once he
goes.
gets out and starts talking to his family, The tone
it's so
goes
powerful
way
right
off.
at the beginning. The tone is like really powerful and compelling, and you're scared a little bit at what's going on, and then it just sort of slowly shifts away from it being that desperate, you got to figure this out really quickly, to it becomes a bit drawn out.
And it kind of represents him too when he's in that building. What his fucking life is at the moment.
Yeah.
Fucking,
The fact he can't get away from it, he
Yeah.
has to keep this job.
yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I said that Kiefer Sutherland was back and forth in terms of 1 minute he was apologising, the next minute he was going off flying off the handle. I actually thought he wasn't too bad as a performance goes. I didn't
He's a
think he
good
was that
actor.
bad.
He's
He's
a
a good
good
enough
actor.
actor. The scene when he finds out his sister's dead, he legitimately sells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He really
Someone should have
does
just
sell it.
told him, just for this scene, Kiefer, maybe don't yell. Maybe a little bit of diplomacy.
There's a lot of yelling.
Overall, I wouldn't say that he was the problem.
I'd forgotten
You know,
how gravelly his voice was.
Yeah, but yeah, he does everything that he's asked to do, and delivers a reasonable performance, I would suggest.
Yeah, I think he's good enough. I think there was obviously some inconsistency with other stuff, the writing, and
Yeah,
so perhaps they needed to say, I don't know, to strengthen it up a bit and say this scene, we're not yelling, we're having a conversation, but obviously that was the way they wanted him to go.
yeah. It's just like they didn't seem to be able to tone him down.
He did the most with what he had, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I like the idea of the handprints
From the inside.
of the mirror. That was a really strong visual.
Yep.
And when the people pop up behind him and they're on fire, I thought that was really...
Yeah, in that big long
it's
hall bit.
It's a solid jump scare. It just sort of comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, they start building.
Yeah.
They start building the jump scares, and the next one, which I loved, was the screaming.
Yeah.
You're expecting to see something, and then you just hear, ah! And it's like, fucking, where is it coming from? And it keeps going, which is really, it just kind of disorients you a little bit.
Yeah, like
And then
it's
when
somewhere.
he sees it, and he can only see the feet, so he starts shifting out the mirrors and then pulling back the curtains. It's a really good way to slowly bring out what's happening, and then when he sees what it is, it's fucking, it's not good to look at. Like, it's
Gross,
creepy.
isn't it? Like, yeah.
So I really like that stuff. I really, really like
That was
scene in
unnerving for
particular.
me.
Yeah, massively. I mean, the screaming for me is more scary than some of the visuals.
You
I was
don't
just like,
actually
I want
see
to fucking
anything.
mute this. I don't want to hear that.
I don't want to be... And imagine being in a totally empty, gigantic
Yeah,
mall,
silent.
echoing around the place as someone screaming. You've got no idea where they are.
Said a
and
little
it's
bit
your
about-
job to find out.
Said a little bit about the character too, the fact that he didn't go running out the door, he went running towards the
Yeah,
screen.
Yeah, well, a show of hands. Who goes down that stairwell at the start when the door pops open?
Yeah.
No one did think so.
I'm going to take the job.
You hear the screaming. I'm going to go find that.
Let me tell you what I'm
Straight
doing.
out through the door. I've got like a fucking shape of me through the door as I like just run through without opening it.
Let me tell you what I'm doing. I got my feet up, the TV's on, I'm back in the
The little
trailer.
demountable.
Honestly.
You know what I'm doing? I'm doing, when the alarm goes off and wakes me up, because I'm probably asleep too,
Hey, oh,
I open the main door and go, anyone here? No? Shut the door.
It's alright, guys. I cleared it. It's all good.
Is everything okay in there? Yeah,
What's he protecting in there?
That's what I was going to say. Can anyone explain
He
why you
said
need
they
security?
said people were looting the place and...
This is the
break
ones
friends.
that
I know. I didn't understand that, but I assumed that's what it
If
was.
they want to steal those mirrors, go ahead.
I'm hedging my bets. I'm watching TV and having a snooze, and if someone comes in and says,
What the fuck are you doing?
someone's been in here, I'm like, well, what did they take?
Yeah.
What of value have you actually
Oh, they
lost?
took a couple of charred mannequins, did they?
It must be those mirrors that don't burn down.
That's it. Yeah, the mirrors are still in pretty good
Look,
nick.
I'm going to go straight out and say it. That was my 2 stars. Once
That's all you
the
like?
movie moves on, it's just a shambles. It is. It really is bad.
Look, the jaw ripping stuff was pretty.
That was the other one I had.
It was. It came out of nowhere. So I was just like, holy shit! It was really shocking to see.
But then when you actually replay back in the mind, it's like...
There's questions.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
The
What's
scene
this
in
all
general,
about?
the scene just in isolation by itself when it happened,
Was gory, yeah.
did the job. Was pretty shocking.
Same with the guy cutting his throat. That was super gory. There was gore everywhere.
Yep.
That's it, you got
Matty?
Crickets.
Alright, so look,
Here you go.
I've got a couple of things that probably weren't likes for you guys, but they cracked me up a little bit. So
So
things
this is
like-
unintentional comedy likes though?
Yeah, comedy
Okay,
likes.
So not actual quality. Okay, good.
There wasn't a lot of quality in it. I didn't. Hey, look. To be honest, the ending I didn't mind. I thought that they were. I think the music that they used and the feel they were trying to go for. And I said this before. I know it wasn't Hitchcock quality, but I think that's what they were going for. One of those things where they started off with a lot of the horror, but then they turned it into a thriller.
More suspense stuff.
Yeah, and then at the end you think he's sort of scot-free, but really he's trapped in this world.
Oh, when he starts walking out, I was dirty. I'm like, there's no way this is bullshit. And then they went, then I'm like, oh, okay, at least they...
It's sort of, I think maybe that was it. That last breath was like, alright, I'm a little bit satisfied here.
I actually thought the ending was... I watched the ending and thought, that could have been really good.
Yeah.
But I had some massive underlying issues with it. I didn't think it was good. Like, I thought when he walked out and started seeing the stuff in reverse, I was like, that's a really cool idea. And a really great way to end it, if that's the way you're going to end it. But I was just annoyed by how it all
what's he reflected in, though, at that point when he's seeing things in reverse? Because he can only see out through mirrors.
That was one of the questions I had.
There's just a mirror... No, it doesn't make any sense.
But nobody else can see him, but he can move around.
Yeah, but the only way that they could access the outside world was through the mirrors. So for him to see all that stuff, there'd have to be a mirror there for him to see.
Yeah, that was another question.
And he's just walking around, you know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, unless it's like the upside down, but...
It breaks its own rules, whatever.
Well, that's
the only way that other people can see.
That's why I dislike the end.
Yeah, maybe.
That's why
the rules are
that's where I was at.
Yeah, the only way I went, it's like maybe it's like the upside down, like it's an alternate universe, everything's backwards.
The stuff that goes on with the house and with his family kind of...
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that later.
Like you paint the mirrors, they can't access it, but they can still walk through it. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, so is it like a video game? If they paint over the mirrors, it looks like the unrendered part of the map, like when you walk.
Yeah.
I don't know how it all works.
Yeah. So I liked when in the caravan when the guy who's obviously employed Ben is figured out that somebody's died in the house or he's come in, he's just gone, Ben, it's not good. It was like, and then he starts telling him about this grisly murder that's happened in the house. I'm like, the plot writing is weak, but at least it entertained me a little bit there.
Reaching.
I don't know. It was weird when he's in the convent and he's talking to the nun and he's like, do not make me threaten you. Is that
that's a threat, isn't it?
I'm like, oh, okay.
You're threatening to threaten
that's the house.
Don't make me threaten you. You already have, but don't make me.
It's like having a meeting to schedule a meeting. It's like, mate, I think we've passed that point, aren't we? You're pointing a gun at me.
I like that they tried to explain everything in that house in the that house in the wild, but we had psychologists. I like the room. That was like kind of creepy. They've decked out this room.
The room was another one that I felt could be a good idea, but it just ended up a half-baked idea. But in terms of a visual that they could have used, and they did use it once for him.
They used the girl in her eyes. Yeah.
Remember when he walked in and he first found it, and so he's looking at one direction in the mirror, then he's looking at the other. And like, that was really cool. I think that could have been used to good effect. A little bit more.
Yeah, there was some bits in there, like the whole fact that he was asking this nun to pretty much sacrifice herself and go back to the worst place possible.
Well, she lived her life. Don't be selfish.
So he's basically saying, look, my kids are young, you're just a fucking sack of meat at this point.
Yeah, I was just waiting for him to say that. He goes, my kids are beautiful, you're old. Just look at that complexion. But like I said, I think maybe the things that you guys liked, I liked a bit more than you, and some of the things that you disliked, I let them slide.
You let a lot slide, I'm going to tell you that, mate.
So let's go into dislikes.
So into dislikes? Dialogue. Putrid.
Putrid.
It's just all exposition. None of it feels natural.
You mentioned that bit at the start. There's a 10-minute sequence at the start, and I just said this is all an info dump, and you mentioned it already. Yeah. It's dead set. Just this is what this cop used to do, and this what happened to him.
When they're not trying to explain it in dialogue form, you are getting paper after paper after paper.
Here's another article.
The moment we meet Kiefer, the camera roams through the house, goes to a box, and it's just got this newspaper say cop kills partner.
Because you keep that around, don't you?
The daily exposition.
Come on.
That's what I'd have. Like, you want to really remember that stuff.
Come on.
And the part where it's necessary, but it was just clumsy. It's like you've got to get this information out. But when the guy's like, "Oh, welcome to your new job. This is a guy that used to work here. What happened? This is a hotel. We had a massive fire. These mirrors, they're beautiful. They're still perfect."
The guy that used to work here, he kept them clean for a reason, and you're like, oh.
But the problem with the daily exposition page about the cop shooting his partner, about Kiefer, that actually comes out later in a conversation with his ex-wife, and I'm thinking, You didn't need the
You didn't
paper
need the
then.
paper, yeah.
You didn't need it because he gets it out.
Yeah, it's
Maybe that's why I liked it then. It's a simple person.
the old rule of show don't tell, and they just never do it.
They
Like,
showed and tell.
yeah, but in the wrong way. Like you're supposed to. It's
Yeah,
supposed to be
it's so
organic
lazy
in the
to
story.
do that. It's so lazy.
just clumsy.
I can hack it once, but they do it repeatedly. They even have one where he gets some information about the whole Essica and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
It's just a big load of paper.
Do you remember he's looking at the 2 dates and he says it to himself?
Yeah.
He goes, these are 2 days apart. She's still alive. And like, it's kind of...
Yeah. You never get the chance to actually like connect the dots yourself.
No, yeah. And I think some of it you can forgive, but when it's constant, it's just too much.
Yeah.
It's far too
You
much.
have to let it slide. In some instances, it's all right to use, but the fact is, you got to use it when you couldn't get it out any other way. And in the case of Kiefer Sutherland being an ex-cop who killed his partner, we got that out later. So if you're looking at the script, aren't you going, okay, well, we don't need that.
And the
Let's take that
conversation, although he just blurts it out, it was fairly natural.
Yeah.
When she says, like, you're having some issues, and he's like, yeah, I shot a man.
Yeah.
You know, I killed a man.
That was the most natural conversation.
Yeah, and then later he says something about, you know, oh, my pension won't cover that.
Yeah.
So you get the idea that he's on suspension because he's fucking searching for he's starting a new job. Like, you get this. You don't need it to be just told to
crammed
you.
down your throat.
Yeah.
Now, you said Paula Patton wasn't bad. She was woeful.
I didn't think she had much to work
She
with.
was. She had nothing to work with. She's a much better actress than that. Much better. But it feels like she's reading off the cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the
Like,
stuff
she's
she's
having
with
a
the
conversation
kids.
with Kiefer, and it is dead set.
That's
It
the
is
worst.
it's like a robot.
I was more talking about when she's with the kids and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's
that's
all right.
better.
When she's with Kiefer, it's rough for sure.
When she's in her 90s.
Oh man, I was reaching. I was reaching hard.
Yeah. And she's in the white top in the flooding house.
Yeah, oh,
that was your favourite.
Hang on, she's going to get wet here. We definitely don't want to put her in a dark coloured top.
The first conversation or interaction with her and Kiefer is just like ridiculous. It's like she's yelling at him, and then he's like, "No, be cool." And then he starts yelling at her, and she's yelling back at him, and then it's like, "I miss you," and then they start making out. You're just like, "No, I can't do this." It's just so it's like overly dramatic, and maybe it's just that whole exposition
No.
thing all in.
The best bit of that entire sequence is where he starts blowing up, and she goes, "You cannot come in here and see your kids. Just waltz in here and see your kids." Right, he starts going off, and then he goes, "Look, I'm sorry." And she says, "We need to set down some rules." Fuck rules! Well, hang on, this all took
What happened? Sorry, champ.
Their whole relationship
It's
is
like
messed
5
up.
seconds where it jumps from craziness to I'm sorry.
Yeah, the same thing happens when she figures out that his sister died. She just goes from yelling at him and telling him to get stuff to, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I want to help you with everything that I can from now on." And then again, she just starts yelling at him. "You got to get out of here!"
But for the rest of the movie, the funny part too is when people, you know, put a block in front of him, they stop him from getting the information he needs. He starts rubbing their head, and, "Oh fuck!" You know, yelling and screaming, and then they go, "Okay, like you can't come into the morgue and see the body." "Oh fuck it!" Okay,
I'll stop my feet. I'll have a tantrum. I'll throw down on the ground.
Yeah, everyone's just like, all right, okay, look, I don't want to go through this with you. Yeah, okay, you can come in and have a look.
Cops, you know, the 2 cops are holding him. They can't let you go. Throws him off, and then the other cop's like,
Let him go. Let him go see that gruesome corpse of his sister. I'm sure he's fine with it.
Yeah.
The other one that did me in was when he's in the house trying to get rid of all the mirrors in his family's house, and the kids and everyone are there scared and whatever, and Paul Patton comes home, and then he's like, he just doubles down and all. He's like, no one's going to believe your shit, mate. He goes outside and he starts shooting his gun in the fucking public. And I'm like, yeah, that's definitely going to help, champ. Like, it's obviously going to pan out the way
You
you
would
want it
be
to.
locked up, Kate.
Oh,
You
straight
would
to
be.
jail.
That seemed to lend itself to the whole thing that we thought the movie was going to sort of be about the, you know, the reflection of what you see and what they're saying, and but just didn't get there.
Doesn't get there.
But when she figures out that he's that the mirror thing is real, that was one of the funniest things in the whole movie. She was like, "I should have believed you all along."
Yeah, obviously.
Totally.
Let me tell you something.
There's no reason anyone should believe him.
I could see it with my own 2 eyes, and I still wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you're propositioning that there's some sort of ghost or something
Sentient being,
that
yeah.
you have to cover the mirrors or it'll kill you. I can't have it. Like,
Yeah, you're right though. That I should have believed you all along. It's not. You might say, "I'm sorry, I didn't believe you," but you would never say, "I should have believed you."
Yeah, you would say, "I'm sorry, I didn't believe you," but you sounded like a fucking lunatic.
The alcoholic cop on painkillers is not really the guy.
There's also no
I think what
explanation
they were
about.
trying to go for was he's unstable. Like his mind is buggered, but that never really comes across
Not
past
enough.
the first 20 minutes. They
But I
actually
think
do a
that's-
reasonable job of
Again,
building
I
some
think
of
they're
that.
trying to do that. So
Good that you
at the
picked
end,
up on that one, that you thought they were going for the news.
I'm just going to put it out here, guys. Bit of a risk. The fire special effect when Kiefer thinks he's on fire, that is bad. It looks like something from Mortal Kombat 2.
Yeah, he starts rolling around the ground.
Yeah,
and
he's
everything,
screaming.
and it's CGI fire.
But also, why wasn't he actually burned? Because anything else that happened to people in Reflections manifested on their body, and he just felt the burning but didn't actually get burnt at all.
Yeah, he was pretty clearly feeling it because he was rolling around, like patting himself, going, "Yeah!"
Yeah, but like anything else that happened, people felt like the scratching, the cuts, that sort of stuff. It all happened, and then he's on fire and nothing.
This is where this segues into my biggest dislike of the whole thing, is that there is no consistency or rules laid out about how this happens, okay? So he sees the mirror and then talks to his family, and all of a sudden the mirror can affect anyone in his family?
Yeah.
Like, so
out of any
Amy's-
mirror.
Yeah, and it's just like...
Yeah.
So where does this stop? Is it like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon? Like, you kind of... Can he just... Because if you are talking to the people that he's talking to, can then you get someone that you're...
Yeah, is it
talking
like
to?
a virus where you're...
Yeah, it just affects
Because
the
if you
next
want
group.
Essica, then you probably get it that way. Just keep leaving from person to person.
Yeah, but they
also
they mention that the convent has no mirrors. That's the whole point when he's at
right.
the house. That's
That's
the only...
true.
But
But
that's a dumb fucking thing to
But then the other thing is, well, fuck, they'd have spoons and water, wouldn't they?
Well, that's the
They
thing,
said
because the
you
little
could-
kid's reflected in the doorknob.
Yeah.
And that's how it gets him when they cover all the mirrors up. And then the water, when he turns all the water on for the floor.
Yeah.
So
They
what,
said
she's never
water-
gone to the
Never had a
toilet?
shower, the fucking smelly old bitch.
The rules. Maddie, sorry, there's so many holes in this shit.
The other thing...
Get a blindfold on with it.
Yeah, like if you can't see them, can they affect you?
And that's the thing. Like in,
I think we've gone.
Because he did say that.
in
No,
a
but he
weird
says
spot.
close your eyes at one point. That keeps
Yeah.
you safe. Does it?
I just let
Where
it
did
slide.
you come up with
So,
that?
and this is the
Yeah,
part.
how do you know?
He just sort of comes up with things randomly.
Yeah, this is the part. Like, there's nothing that outlines what can be done once they see you in the mirror. We just assume, okay, they can hurt you in the real world.
Yeah.
But then in the house, it's like the reflection of the mother had to be there to hurt the child, the girl child, when the boy child's reflection was fucking running rampant.
And
So
cutting
why
things with a
couldn't
knife.
her reflection have hurt her?
Herself, yeah.
Why did it have to be Paula Patton?
Exactly.
Then, beyond that, you get to the ending and it's like, so Kiefer can see everything and leave a print on
A window. Yeah.
but in the house, they can only hurt you when they can see you.
In mirrors.
But can they still see you? Like, I'm like, this is too much.
Mate, your brain will tie in a knot. There's no explanation for any of it. There's no rules and there's no anything.
I think it's someone. How come they're not just using their handprints to write messages to people from the other side?
Yeah, because
These
they did that
souls,
with
like,
Essica.
Yeah.
But then the people that were the people that weren't. See, this is the other thing. I thought when they killed them, did they all become demons?
Yeah.
Well, they mentioned that at one point too, because the deaths of the people in the
Collecting
fire,
the souls.
they collect the souls. Yeah, and then
So what did they do with them? They let them all fucking wander around a reflected New York City.
No, they're the ones that's like the burnt lady and the people that are on fire in the main hall. That's all the people that were trapped in the building because the mirrors had their souls.
But Kiefer's now in the mirror, but he's just wandering around.
Yeah, but there's mirrors, Jared. No, mate, that's what I said to Maddie. He can't just be walking out there.
What do they want with him? They're like, this bloke yells too much. Fucking kick him out. We don't need his
It
soul.
doesn't matter, mate. It's fucking gibberish.
The demon is too powerful as well. I found that a little bit annoying. Because if you're that powerful, you would have found a way.
But also the
Demon's
explanation.
powerful. Then
Why
next
isn't
thing
he-
you know, they're having a punch up in the down in the bloody bowels of the.
Yeah,
that's how it ends.
He gets
you know?
thrown through a wall, but he throws a mean uppercut that
Yeah,
really
it's like-
seems to sting the demon.
The dumbest thing is, why doesn't it just inhabit somebody else? Like, why does it have to inhabit this nun?
I don't know.
There's no explanation for that either.
There's no explanation.
But I think
for
it's
that.
just...
There's no explanation for the funniest part of the movie that I was bursting out laughing. I was in the room of mirrors. It left me and entered the mirrors.
Yeah.
That's the explanation we've got for this whole fucking mirrors
That's
thing.
the cultural thing.
Because demons do that.
I'm trying to justify it.
But I know, like, but this is the thing. Like, it's okay. I get that. You know, the reflection is taking part of your soul. Where did the demon come from in the first place?
Yeah.
She was just possessed, mate.
I didn't think
Just
too
luck
hard
of the
about
draw.
it. I did not think too hard.
Did
about
anyone
Because
think
it's got to be. You got to have something. You got to have something around that to get us to move the plot to an end point.
Yeah, she had to have found like some
Satisfactory
talisman or
resolution.
something like that. There's nothing.
The Book of the Dead or something.
Yeah. Well,
Did anyone think that Essica was actually going to be a word that was in reverse?
Backwards? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's such a weird word. I'm like, oh, it's going to be reversed.
Still don't know what they're talking about.
Rekus? Nah, that doesn't make sense. Rekes? Nah, this is nothing. But it seems like weird that they would write on the backside of the mirror in the correct font that you would be able to read on the outside. And if that's the case, why can't they write the person's full name or please find fucking this lady Essica at
Located here. At the last time we saw her in a mirror was around this place, so start there.
try downstairs past the flooding, kick a hole in the wall, and away you go.
If you were going to build a department store over the top of a mental asylum, wouldn't you remove the electric chair that was in the mirror room?
It was bricked off, mate. No one knew it was there. Don't be silly.
That was a bit weird.
The sign for the hospital is still on the hallway for the electrical tunnels down underneath it. It's like, really?
The other part about the demon.
More exposition.
No.
The other part about the demon, I thought, like, this probably would have put the subtext on the nose a little bit, but wouldn't it have just made sense to end up in him?
Yeah.
Because that's... Yeah.
Wouldn't it be as cool?
Like go the Exorcist
Couldn't have done the
route.
surprise.
Or go, you know, that when he fucking starts to
That would have been super derivative.
come to terms with his problems or something like that. That's the manifestation of it, and it would have, this, as I said, the subtext would have been a bit smelly, but it couldn't have been any smellier than what was going on. So.
Yeah.
to me, my biggest problem, or the things that I liked the least, was that once we get away from the store, it kind of spins its wheels a lot while he's going around doing investigation.
Yeah.
And there's always these sequences where it's supposed to be thrilling, the music sort of swells, and there's one particular one where Paula Patton finds that her son's sitting in the mirror, staring at the mirror, and then he gets up, and his reflection is still there, and she gets on the blower to Sutherland, and he cranks a big U-turn, the music swells, and we come back and he's painting the fucking mirror. And I'm like,
This guy means business.
so
Look at those brushstrokes.
It's supposed to be exciting.
Yeah, he's really flat chat down to Bunnings for a can of
Brushstrokes are beautiful, but hardly thrilling. I hardly got excited.
It's a weird solution, isn't it?
It just never gets out of second gear once it's out of there. Once it's in there.
It was impossible to get invested.
Yeah.
It's just impossible.
Same with Amy Smart's death. Yeah. You saw her for 3 scenes that would have taken about 5 minutes, I think, total.
Oh,
maybe a little longer, maybe 10.
That was another part of my favourite clumsy exposition. When he walks into her room and he's like, "Are you alright, sis?" And I'm like, okay, what's happening here? And she's like, a little bit of idle chatter, and then he's like, "I'm going to work, just you go to bed." I'm like, well, why the fuck did you wake her up? Just to say she's your sister?
The only reason you know you're supposed to care about her is that she's attractive. That's the only reason they give you to say,
with
we're
5 or
supposed to be
6 minutes of screen time that she gets,
Yeah.
she gets nothing, you feel nothing for her, then she has her face ripped in half.
Yeah.
And you're supposed
Cool
to
death,
feel
though.
something. That was a cool death, I loved it.
Yeah.
But you don't feel a thing. And the only reason why that sequence actually works when he finds out is because Sutherland sells it by, crying.
Spewing in the sink and-
He really loses it, which is great, but you don't care for her one bit. So I just
like when he first sees something in the mirror at the apartment, and she bursts in and says, "What's the matter?" And he's like,
Get away from me!
Get away! Yeah, I'm sitting there going.
Obviously, no one can come and check on you, mate.
Yeah,
you
I'd have
wanker.
been sitting there after seeing that in the mirror. I'd have been sitting there.
That's
going,
when his
"Is my
face melts, isn't it?
melting? Is
Yeah.
there something wrong with me?"
Yeah, because his face just starts drooping down, and he's like, "Ah!"
But instead of being spooked, he's yelling at her.
Yeah.
"Leave me alone!
Yeah.
Get
This is
away."
your fault, you bitch.
he dials it up a notch.
Yeah.
Whenever it's time for...
Did anyone have, I had still had at one point he does the Jennifer Love Hewitt Fucking, what do you want from me? Up against the mirror. And I'm like, mate, at this point, if you're asking that question, you've got real big problems. This is when he tries to shoot that big mirror in the department store, and then he's
Banging it with the chair.
and then he's hitting it with the chair and everything, and then he does, yeah, but it's like, I can just see her spinning and like, what do you want from me?
Well, funnily enough, that's what I was doing to the TV. I was sitting
Yeah.
what do you want from me? I don't know.
I also don't understand why, like the nun, when he's at the convent, she's like, no, sorry, mate, I'm not helping you. And then he's like, don't make me threaten you. And then he kidnaps her. And then she gets to the department store and she's just gung-ho.
She's on board.
This is how we'll do it, and this is how we'll do that. And you got to put me in the chair. And when did she...
Yeah, lock me into a
when did
chair.
she get on board
When
with
she on top
taking the
of it.
demon on board? I
don't
know. Fuck me dead. Are we done yet? Movie shit. I'm glad it's got at least production value and stuff, but fuck, it's a terrible movie.
Yeah, look, I haven't got much yet.
I've been watching all these Freddy's.
You're
I was
tapped out,
really
mate.
happy with this.
Well, look, anyone who's watched Freddy's Dead would definitely see this is 3 out of 5.
Yeah, you must have watched it straight after Freddy's Dead.
Because you thought this was alright. Freddy's Dead is just atrocious.
A lot of the time in horror movies, people do things you're like, oh, why would you do that? Every single thing this bloke does through the whole movie,
Yeah.
no one would react that way in that scenario. When that door cracks at the start, like when you start seeing things in, like you're not going to go and investigate the building. You're just out of there. Sorry, mate, I don't want this job
Again,
anymore. I'll go and work at Kmart.
Instincts
You're opening
to
the door going, anyone in there?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, no, sorry, hard pass.
Hey, I did my rounds.
Prove I didn't. Prove I didn't.
Yeah.
Cop.
It's
Yeah,
your
they told
phone.
me, mate, the door's still locked. Yeah, no, look. I went up and had a bit of a listen. I put my ear to the door. It sounded all right.
Mate, hey, I'm trained in this sort of stuff. Don't ask me about my business.
Yeah.
I didn't need to go in there. I knew there was nothing wrong. Mate, I'm not getting out of that trailer.
Yeah.
Period.
Mate, I'm not inside that temp fence outside.
Yeah.
I'm gone. Gone.
Even before you see the mirror stuff. You
Yeah.
wouldn't get me in the building. Oh, there's
Yeah,
mannequins in there? No lights? Fuck you.
Like, I'm an ex-cop, I can handle this. Then you open the door and you think, fuck, wonder if Macca's is hiring. I'm out.
I feel like I'm underqualified, guys. Sorry, I resign.
I feel like I want to take a change in direction. I want to punch out McOz's at the back of McDonald's.
Him working at Macca's would be a good horror movie.
Yeah.
Hey, but then he would have got a reflection in the fucking grill when he's flipping burgers.
They're always clean at Macca's, those grills. You got to get a bit of grease on there, stop the reflection.
No, I got nothing else.
I got nothing else either.
No.
Anyone else?
Neither does Kiefer.
It's alright.
I think that's it.
Maddie doubles down again.
The water's rising on the island.
The island is now.
I'll give him props for sticking to his guns.
Yeah.
He's going down with the ship.
Yeah.
At least you at least you put
We didn't
forward an
take,
argument. I won't say you justified it, but you put forward something.
You also didn't go 3.5. I've revised that. Yeah, 2.5.
Basically, you gave it 1.5 for unintentional comedy.
Yeah.
I did.
That's fine. That brings you back to a 2 for
Hey, look,
absolute quality.
At least I was watching it trying to figure out what was going on.
Yes.
Not because
Oh,
it
don't worry,
didn't
we
make
all
any
were.
sense, but because like it was something that I hadn't seen necessarily.
Well,
I was trying to
as-
see how it unfolded.
As
Yeah.
you two have closely pointed out, it could have been something
Yeah.
interesting.
But
There's
maybe
definitely
even
bones there.
potential alone. I've
Yeah,
given
the
it a mark.
bones are actually all right, and there's
Yeah.
some interesting stuff.
Maddie's
but it
graded
just
on what
doesn't
it
work.
could have been.
Well, I think every star that I gave Stone Cold was for unintentional comedy. Same as Houseboat Horror, so that's all. Yeah, Pieces as well. I can't argue.
Oh,
that.
no one can sit on a high horse right now. Don't
I
worry.
gave Pieces 5 stars. Unintentional comedy. I said it was the funniest
I think we
thing
need
I've
to
seen.
do an anniversary Pieces edition to let Maddie watch it as
Agreed,
well,
yeah,
just to
agreed.
kind of revise.
Oh,
and
I'm away
refresh.
that
I'll
week.
tell you what we'll do. We might consider putting Maddie down in front of it and then getting a sort of a
Is it
remix.
reaction?
A retrospective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
remix
Deal.
it.
Yeah, I'm not doing that again.
Once I'm finished with the Freddy's, I'll.
Yeah. This is a totally different.
Is it?
Maddie's a glutton for punishment. This won't even be hard by the sound of that. Bloody hell.
All right, that was Mirrors. If you want to get in touch with us, send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia and at Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com and on our fresh Instagram page at Thrill Me Podcast.
Check out the Insta.
Make sure you rate and review on iTunes and Podomatic to help us spread the word. And our next episode, personal favourite of yours, Gibbo.
Oh, it's up there.
Denzel Washington, mate. Man
Old
on
Crooked Fingers
fire.
himself.
But until then, take it easy and we'll catch up with everyone later. Cheers. Find the podcast at Podomatic
or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.